I always forget how long this transition time takes. Okay, I believe we are live. Hello, world. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. My name is Monica Kang from InnovatorsBox, and I'm your host today in Creativity is in Business. In short, we're a creativity show where we debunk about what it means to be creative, innovative, and really bring out tangible skills to rethink about what it means and what we can do right now where we are. And so I'm assuming all of you are innovators or wanting to learn how you can be innovative. And I'm super excited because we've been building a lot of different conversations. And today I have a very special guest because, I know many of you right now with COVID-19, on top of everything that we usually talk of, is working on one thing and updating, which is LinkedIn. And as you have seen from the show title, I gave a little hint about our guest, Karen, who will be joining us shortly. And, just talking about what does it mean in highlighting my voice? And, often I think, be curious to add Karen later when she joins shortly about the questions of, being an innovator. Often we have all these different identities. And it's so hard to put us in one box or one tagline. But I'm sure Karen will probably have the answers to that. So without further ado, let's invite our friend Karen over here. So hi, Karen, how are you doing?
I'm great, Monica. Thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here with you today.
Thank you for joining here at the Creativity Show. I'm super excited to have you. So timely because I think I found that out of all the social media platforms. I know we're inviting folks here on YouTube for them to join, but LinkedIn is one platform where we connect professionally, and I feel like even for me, since I first got involved on LinkedIn, things have changed so much, and it made me really reflect a lot more, especially with everything going on now. But Karen, tell me a little bit more, like, why did you even first get to care about LinkedIn and became an expert at what you do with LinkedIn?
Yeah, well, I have to reveal a little bit about my age to do that because, I grew up in the age of relationship marketing. We didn't have social media. We didn't have, we were cold calling, right? Or knocking on doors, and sales happened from relationships. And while we didn't care as much about the people's what they had for lunch and what their families were like that we do now, at the end of the day, the sales came from relationships. So when I started to shift my business over to more digital marketing, and I was really working with people in general on their digital marketing at that time, I found myself always gravitating to LinkedIn because I was like, hold on, people want to know more about you. Let's make sure that your brand is strong. And when you reach out to people, they feel confident that you're worthy of their investment, right? So I was always starting people on LinkedIn because to me, no matter to this day, what has never changed, the question when I ask people is, where do most of your leads come from? I would say 99.5% of the time they say referrals. And referrals is great because it means you are so good at what you do, but it's not repeatable, right? It's kind of a little bit like cross your fingers marketing. And I don't love that. So I started to use LinkedIn to do what I call like build repeatable referrals, right? To find the people and build relationships with people so that I was able to have these conversations that led to sales. And it's not sales conversations, it's relationships. And when you build the relationships, the sales follow. And that I found that to be so strong that over time, and certainly for the past few years, 100% of my business now is really focused on supporting businesses with LinkedIn marketing.
And guys, to do the proper LinkedIn homework, I hope you looked up her profile on LinkedIn because you will quickly see how she positioned herself and communicates everything that she just spoke of. And just to hint a few things is that I know she hinted briefly at the beginning about joking about the age, but she's been doing this for 20 plus years. I mean, I usually like to bring you guys the best experts I can so that you all get to have access to all these different insights and learning. And so just sitting that out there that Karen has been really thinking about this for a long time. And Karen, I feel like you've then seen all the different iterations. I'm just curious, fun fact, like what's the most weirdest LinkedIn feature that doesn't exist anymore that you actually miss having because you've seen different.
So you know what I miss having, and it was a completely useless thing, but people loved it. So it was made it easy. So a lot of times, when we work with people on their LinkedIn profiles, because a lot of the work you do is on your profile and really positioning yourself. People look at LinkedIn as like their their online resume. And I definitely don't think that's the case. I think your resume is all about who you used to be, and your LinkedIn profile is really, you should be positioning the person you're becoming, like dress for the job you want, not the job you have. But LinkedIn used to have a feature that you would push a button, or you'd go to like resume.linkedin.com, and it would pull all the information from your LinkedIn profile into like and it would give you like, here's 17 different formats we can export this in. And you get a PDF of your LinkedIn profile that looked like a resume. And to me, I don't think people really want your resume as much as you think they do, but people still think they do. So when we work with people now, a lot of times you're like, well, can you get me a resume too? And I'm like, I guess if you want us to, right? But it used to be that you could push a button and do that. And LinkedIn's done away with that. So I do kind of miss that because, it allowed me to say, sure, and we can just show them, push a button, and you can immediately export a resume in a bunch of different formats. You can't do that anymore.
I know. And I know there's still jobs who ask for it. So, hey, sometimes they might be applying to things and, asking that question. But Karen, thank you for sharing that. And it really shows that she's seen all the different versions, which we'll speak about a little bit. But before I continue diving into this conversation, for all of you who've seen the show before, we always like to get to know our guests a little bit more personal, so that you get to know the human side of them. So, Karen, do me a favor. If you can pick a color and a number, I will pull out a question.
Yellow 2.
Yellow 2 that is. Let's find out what question she's gonna get.
I feel like we're playing bingo.
Ooh, how do you de-stress?
Sunshine and water. I live near the ocean, and before I lived near the ocean, part of my routine was like, I need to see the ocean at least one time in every single calendar month. And now that I live near the ocean, I can't even go, but I can still drive by it. So it's sunshine for sure. And thankfully in New Jersey this week, we're going to see a lot of sunshine. But sunshine and the ocean, there's nothing that soothes my soul like sitting on the beach or being on the water.
I feel like we need a little picture background, or like to help complement that. Bring out a
Hold
little.
on, I think I can maybe make that happen. Let's see if I can make that happen.
Let me see if I can help support. Dun, dun, dun.
Hold on.
Playing with our little digital equipment.
There we go.
I'm at another beach.
What's that? There we go. Now we're both at the beach. This is actually a view from one of my friend's balconies of her front yard, right? So this is yeah.
That's amazing. Well, I can't say that about my friends, but I found this on the internet, so I'll say that. Proper citation. Well, thank you very much for sharing that, and kind of tying that back to one of the things I know you care a lot about is kind of really helping people reframe their thinking about LinkedIn. And that's one of the key aspects we love bringing when we bring guests to our show, is that they always do what they do best, but they do it in such a different way. And I loved your kind of insights into, even when we first met, and you highlighted, Monica, LinkedIn isn't just about what it says it does. It's really, at the end of the day, building relationships. And tell me a little bit more what that means, and what's kind of the most frustrating misconception people have about LinkedIn.
Well, I can use an example of somebody I spoke to today. It's somebody that is not currently a customer, but I've been talking to about potentially doing some work with. And he keeps asking me about the company page and the business. And I said to him, listen, I can talk to you about that all day long, but 90% of your success is going to come from the work you do in building relationships. So yes, is LinkedIn considered a social media platform? It is. But the posting, the content creation, the staying top of mind, it's important, but that's maybe 10% of the importance of the platform. When you look at LinkedIn as a place to virtually build a really powerful network and get on the phone with people consistently, that can change your business and your life forever. That is the power of LinkedIn, not that you have a company page that you can share to your personal page, and whether you should do video or audio or whatever, or pictures or not. It is the relationship building. That is where the power is on LinkedIn.
I love that you shared that, and help break that framework a little bit more. So I want to piggyback and go a little bit deeper into that. So, we were just chatting before we went live. You were sharing an example of just even recently you were at an event, you ended up needing to speak in front of 3,000 people and you had all these
Yes.
connections, which is
Yeah.
exciting. But I think it's a lot of work. So like, how do you actually navigate all of that to actually create meaningful conversations? Because right now, like I had my birthday not so long ago and I was just responding back to people's message and I realized like, how do I make this even meaningful instead of just saying thank you? And
Monica, did you listen last week on my podcast? I did a whole podcast on how to use your birthday on LinkedIn to really leverage. It was like last week. Because what happened, see on LinkedIn, you know how I'm sure everybody that's watching knows that has gotten requests from people that they don't know that immediately start pitching them. And I want you to build your network out strategically. I don't want you to be reactive. I totally want you to be proactive. But if somebody wishes you a happy birthday, they started that conversation. So it's your opportunity to pick that ball up and say, thank you so much. Can you believe it's been 2 years since we had lunch? Or how have we been connected here on LinkedIn for 3 years and never had a conversation? I decided this year, my birthday's in December, and I was in New York City doing a panel at like 7 a.m. And so like 9 a.m. I was done and I was meeting some friends for lunch. So I had all this time. So I sat in a coffee shop in Manhattan and I started going through all my LinkedIn requests. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to just not just reply and say thank you, but literally build conversations with people, especially if I thought there was opportunity, right? So I did. And Monica, it was one of the most profitable times I've ever spent on LinkedIn. So much so that I blocked off December 6th, 7th, and 8th on my calendar next year. And I'm like, I will celebrate my birthday in style a week later, but I'm going to spend those days being really responsive because on LinkedIn, it's about building relationships. And if they start the conversation, I feel like they've opened the door for you to continue it. And now it's the conversations and the relationships. That's where the profits are. That's where the money is, and not directly selling people, but maybe that's where you get an opportunity to do this kind of thing, right? Get in front of somebody's audience or get them in front of your audience. Or maybe, maybe it's a journalist. Like the opportunity that I had last week was by building a relationship with the publisher of a newspaper, right? So it's those kinds of things that is where the real power is on LinkedIn. And a lot of that, Monica, is in your head. It's your mindset. Right? You got to get in the mindset that you're worthy of building these powerful relationships and that you are, and that it's okay to have these conversations with people that you don't know because it's all business on LinkedIn. So it's okay to having conversations. They started it, pick up the ball and run with it and watch the opportunities happen.
Thank you for sharing that. And I know exactly what I will be doing a little bit more after this conversation.
It was so fun. It was so fun.
And to tie to that, I'm curious to hear your thoughts. What's also something that maybe, because right now our audience isn't always just entrepreneurs. There are, entrepreneurs, there are innovators, there are students also. They might be listening and thinking like, okay, that's cool. Like, but I'm not necessarily doing for what quote, quote business. Like, I just want to figure out how I can do this better. And I feel like you might have a say in some of what it means to really show your voice, because I know one of the things I struggle and many others who are innovators is that what it means to be an innovator is like all these different things. And sometimes just saying one word or a phrase feel like we're boxing ourselves and limiting, but there's a way if we know how to use that differently that we amplify all the different things we are, right?
I love the word amplify because that's where I was going with this. If you're an innovator, then you have something really exciting and fun and creative to talk about, right? I want you to use LinkedIn to find the right people to talk to about it. And you don't have to, I don't want you to talk to everybody. I want you to be really picky about who you talk to. So let's just say, let's say you're an innovator and pens are your thing, right? I would have a Google alert set for new pens or something like that. And if somebody wrote an article about new pens that's in your world, go right to that article. It's not about caring as much about the article, but go to the person that wrote the article. Okay. Share that article on LinkedIn, share your point of view of the article, right? Like he says this or she says this, and I think yes to this, maybe no to that. And I never thought about this that they said, right? And jump in and start the conversation. Tag the journalist. What journalist doesn't want their content in front of more people? Now you've just positioned yourself in front of somebody that potentially could get you and your work in front of hundreds or thousands or hundreds of thousands of people.
I love that. And it's funny because I think I know how it feels to be on the other side when people share my things and tag me and say, hey, you should check out creativity, innovation, see what
Yep.
Innovators Box is doing, or like if you have questions, you should participate in this. And
Yeah.
like it's nice because you're getting help and
Yeah.
the intentions, you can see it when it's like very thoughtful. And I
Yeah.
think that's what I'm hearing. Karen, I don't know, would you be up for like a real time kind of a demo that I can do maybe on my page to show
I
them?
am always up for I am always up for that. I am always up for that. And
So
while you're pulling up your page, I will say, think about what that will do for your career, the you innovators that are listening to this. If you have on your resume, your LinkedIn profile, or your website, or whatever it is, as seen on, NBC, CBS, whatever it is, right? NPR, like, you then, once you build the relationships with these journalists, you now can legitimately use that, and that immediately elevates you in the surrounding crowd that you hang out with.
So I'm a little nervous because I'm sharing now my profile, not only to all of you, but to an expert here. I have not asked her about how good or bad my current profile is, but okay, Karen, I go to you. Maybe I come to you as like, hey, Karen, like I want to figure out like, how can I have more meaningful conversations? I'm busy,
Okay.
I don't have a
Yeah.
lot of time, but like if I can do like one or two things, what can I do to make more meaningful conversations? Where do I start? I am now.
Yeah. So I'm actually gonna pull up your profile here too, because I can see it on here, but I want to be able to read it better. So if I'm looking over here, it's not that I'm not looking at your profile. This is where I have multiple monitors. But so here's the thing. I think the first thing that happens is it comes down to it. Your profile is your first impression very often, especially now when everybody's sitting in front of their computers. They're saying, who's Monica Kang? And they're throwing your name into a Google search, right? And if you're really brave, you may want to do that. And you'll see how high your LinkedIn profile will come up. And yes, your website probably tells us about you and some other things, but your LinkedIn profile is gonna go deeper into like who you are, right? So it's where people, it is very often your first impression online, and you can't make a second first impression, right? So first and foremost, having a great first impression, and you do. And what I love about your profile is that your header image, it's you on a stage in front of a ton of people, and it immediately tells me the story that you are a speaker, right? So you don't have to tell me, you don't have to explain it to me, you don't have to tell me, let me tell you about you. Like, I can see the first thing I see is she's been in front of big audiences. So that immediately tells me that you have some influence. Whether you could have hired all those people for all I know, right? And bought yourself a microphone and stood on that stage. But if you did a great job, because it immediately tells me that you have some influence. So here's the thing that I will say. So that's my immediate good news reaction. My immediate where I think you can fix something is in your headline. So your headline, which is under your name, which is InnovatorsBox founder and CEO, author of Rethink Creativity, and internationally recognized keynote speaker and facilitator. That tells me a lot about you, and I love that, but nobody really cares about you. They care about what you could do for them. Okay, and that doesn't tell me at all what you can do for them. So when I look at a headline, I want your headline to tell me who you are, who you help. So what kinds of people do you help, and how do you help them? Who you are, who you help, and how you help them. So because yes, if somebody's looking for a keynote speaker, and maybe that's who you're going for, right? But if that's the case, then I would say, thrilling audiences for 20 years or 10 years or something like that, because they, again, don't care about you. What they want to know is if they put you on their stage, how is that going to transform their event, right? So thinking about what is like when I work with people on their LinkedIn strategy, the very first thing we do before we even hit the profile is really think about, what does a win look like? What has to happen for 3 months from now, you to be calling me saying, investing in you was the best money I ever spent. Okay. And I want to know what that is. And then we reverse engineer it. So if in your case, and I don't know what it is, we don't need to get into that now, but if in your case, it's getting more keynotes, then this is good. But what would be better is telling me a little bit about how, and I've seen you talk, so I know how good you are with a microphone and on a stage. I don't see that in here. You just sound like every other keynote speaker that talks about innovation, right? I want to be wowed. I want you to hook me a little bit. You know what I mean? So So that's kind of something I would like to see in your headline. And then, so that's the first two things. Your profile image is beautiful. That's perfect to tell it. It shows me, it's professional. It doesn't have a picture of your cat or your grandmother. So that's awesome. So now, okay, stop right there. So now in the about section, can you click the see more? So in the about section, first of all, I can't really read it, but just by looking at it, I can tell you I love it. I love that you start with I'm Monica, because now I feel like you're talking to me. Okay. And that's what I want. This is person to person marketing. Again, I don't want to get too deep into it, but what I would say to you is a couple things about this section. First of all, it used to be called the summary. It's now called about. So the fact that that's a tiny little change with a big psychological impact. A summary is boring. A summary is just the summary of the book, right? About, I'm nosy. I want to know about you, right? So I want to see some story in this, and I can see enough that says my journey began. I love that. Again, what I would say to you, and I haven't read it, so this isn't criticism, it's just make sure that it also is telling me why I care. Not just telling me about you, but what, something like, when I leave the stage and get, 5 new opportunities to speak, I know I've nailed that keynote talk. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of like, so that's telling me about you. But now I'm like, wait, I want a keynote speaker that people love so much that they all want to bring her to their next event, right? So tell me about you, but make it about me. Another recent change with the about section is they recently changed from 2,000 characters to 2,600 characters. And that gives you more space to talk. Because here's the thing, LinkedIn is the biggest content hub on the internet. So the more you feed this intentionally with keywords, like if somebody's looking for an innovation keynote speaker, you want to come up, right? So you want to make sure you're feeding this about section with lots of keywords, and therefore using every single keyword that you can, every single character that you can, so you have lots of opportunity to feed it with keywords. Okay, so those are the couple things I think about this about section that you would want to look for. And again, without taking time to read the whole thing, that's kind of what I like to see when I see an about section. But then if you scroll down a little tiny bit more, you can stop right there. So that featured section is brand new. It used to be the media in your about section. And what LinkedIn did was it pulled the media out of your about section and put it in a featured section. Look how big and beautiful those boxes are. And do you see how when you're looking at, when it was in my about section, I had like 5 or 6 things because I wanted it to go across the whole bottom. But now that I have these big, beautiful boxes, I only want to have 2 things, because you see how it becomes like a carousel and you have to click next to see the next one. I want to pick 2 powerful things, the 2 calls to action that you most want people to take when they're on your LinkedIn profile, and put them here and make the boxes look beautiful. You might even want to create an image that says, click here to talk to somebody about booking Monica for your next event, right? Rather than linking to a page that's your speaker page that has, like something that's not quite so do this. Like I want, so that's, and the change that they made also was when the media was in the about section, when you clicked on it, it went to this in between page where it said, okay, you're halfway there. If you really want to see this, click again. Now, when you click on that, it takes you right to that. And that's big for LinkedIn, because LinkedIn does not have live links. So now those are live links. So my personal opinion is I like to see 2, because 2 gives me 2 large boxes. It doesn't confuse me, because the minute I click over, I might not remember to go back and do that book this, right? And you still have an opportunity in your experience sections to link all that other stuff that you might have there. Does that make sense, Monica?
There are so much gold nuggets here. I hope all of you who are watching are taking a look at your personal profiles. And, Karen's contact is down there, so you should totally reach out to her. But man, Karen, thank you so much already. I know I'm going to probably have to follow up and talk about more of this with you for sure. But thank you for showing just how even some of the small details, and what I'm hearing, I think, in the way you're articulating is that going back to the question of building a meaningful relationship is that, are you meaningfully presenting yourself and
Yes.
sharing who you are? And I think that's
and who you are, but more importantly, why I care who you are. Like, what makes you different? Why, like I mean, I hate to pick on financial planners, but there's a million financial planners out there, right? If you say you're a financial planner, okay, you and 20 million, there's a million keynote speakers out there, right? I want you to hook me. I want you to tell me I'm a financial planner, but I help women over 50 create enough wealth to retire at 60. And now I'm like, hold on, I need that, right? So that's what you want to do. Tell me about you, but give me something that makes me go, oh my gosh, that's who I need to talk to. Monica, can we stay on your profile for one more thing?
Oh, yes, please.
Scroll down one more time to your dashboard. Okay, now stop right there. Do you see where it says private to you? Nobody sees this dashboard but you. So everybody that's watching this has this dashboard, whether you have ever looked at it or not. What I want you to pay attention to on the right-hand side, you see where it says you've come up 300 times in search appearances? That is in the past. Well, not in the past 7 days. That's in a 7-day snapshot in the past week. I'm not sure what the snapshot is, okay, because it gets updated once a week. That means that you are coming up 1,200 times a month in search appearances. This is why I'm so important. That's why I think keywords are so important. If your number is anything other than 0, you are coming up in search appearances. So yes, I want you to be intentional about who you're reaching out to, but how cool is it that you're coming up in search appearances? So now though, Monica, I want you to click on that number 300. And now what it's showing us is where your searchers work. Scroll down a little bit, what your searchers do, and scroll down again, keywords your searchers use. So professor and project manager. What that means is that you need to do a better job of infusing the keywords like keynote speaker and innovation and innovator. You need to infuse that into your LinkedIn profile more. You're always going to come up for things that don't, like I came up last week for like social services director. Never done that job in my life. So you can't micromanage this, but you can make sure. I'd be using the word speaker if that's what your goal is, everywhere I can in your profile, because and this changes every single week. So every single week you can look at this and just see, is it getting a little bit closer to things you want to be coming up for? Because here's the thing. So many people are all over Facebook ads these days, and I want to do Facebook ads and drive people to my stuff. And that's awesome. And when you do a Facebook ad, you're putting your content in front of people you hope are interested in what you like to do, right? But when you do keyword work on your LinkedIn profile and on your website, you're putting your content in front of people you know are interested in what you do because they're searching for it, right? So this is the difference between having a great LinkedIn profile and having a profitable LinkedIn profile. Okay, I'm done. I'm off my soapbox now.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna stop this because now I'm embarrassed at how much I need to improve on it.
No, your profile's awesome. Your profile's awesome. It's just, these are the things that people don't know, right? And that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. That's why I do my podcast. That's why I do weekly workshops, because these are the things, and it's not a ton of work. The work is up front. You've got to do some work up front but then once it's done, it's just about keeping the ball rolling. Like I tell people, LinkedIn is my money tree. But if you, like any other tree, if you don't water it, it is not going to produce fruit, right? So you have to take care of it. You have to go in on a regular basis and make sure it's watered and it's got sunshine and you're giving it some love and attention all the time. Not every day, all day. Couple times a week for a half hour. Go in, respond to your messages, connect with a few people, jump in the wall, jump into some conversations. You will be amazed if you've done the upfront work at how quickly you can get opportunities, huge media opportunities. I had a story, I think I was telling you earlier, my CFO in my business, I was talking to her earlier and she was saying that she was having some trouble with the PPP loan that people are applying for now on LinkedIn, with banks. And she had to get back to them on a phone call and they couldn't, it was for one of her clients. I don't even remember, but she had like, today was the deadline or yesterday was the deadline. And she's like, they weren't answering the phone. I couldn't get through to them. So she went to LinkedIn and she works with me. So of course her LinkedIn profile positioned her as worthy. And she went straight to the president of the bank and went to his link. She uses Sales Navigator, went through LinkedIn Sales Navigator, went to the president of the bank, sent him a LinkedIn message and said, I can't even imagine how busy you are right now. I'm sure it's insane. but I just wanted to let you know, I'm trying to do this for a client. I can't get through to your number. If I don't get through by tomorrow, my client's going to lose this opportunity. Can you point me to someone in the right direction? Within a half hour, he responded to her and said, somebody will call you, and you give me the name and whatever of the person, and somebody will call you back. And within a half hour after that, she got a call back. And it was from the relation, talking to people, actually talking to people, right? It's unbelievable how many wins I've seen people getting in the last couple of weeks even.
I love that. And it gives a clear example of how, all the small details, the hard work makes a difference. And I know, especially taking a bigger picture back again, innovators, we speak a lot about what it means to be innovative. And that's not just you taking one course. That's not you just doing art.
Yes.
That's not you just, spending more time with people who make you feel creative. It's all of that. And all the small details make a difference. And, just like your physical health, where you think a lot about, exercising is, just because you went to the gym one time, or now home gym one time, that's not going to make you healthy. It's how you sleep, how you think, how you manage your time, and how you, staying healthy. And the same thing for your mental muscle, but it's the same thing in how you present yourself online and share your voice and your talent, because you are so much more than just any job title and any framework. So, I hope, if not, again, good, thank God this is on video, because you're going to now be able to rewatch this and remember again some of the other episodes that we had. We talked about, what it means to have our voice with Melanie. We also talked about, with Andrew, about thinking about ecosystem. And so go back to some of these episodes that we've talked about, and even built one, even some of the Asian American conversations we had even yesterday on thinking about what it means to find a voice and knowing that how other things influence us. Take a look back and see, okay, what are words, what are perhaps things that people describe me that I realize it's not on my profile, or communicated in a way of who I am and where I am. And so man, like
you have to do that, right? No one's going to look at your profile and go, I bet she's better than she says she is, right? Or I bet she does this too, even though it doesn't say it anywhere on here. No one's going to think that. You have to tell people what you want them to know about you.
Have to say it aloud. Karen, is there any final word of wisdom that you want to add?
Just that, now really is the time to be doing this, because we're so disconnected. People are craving connection, and it's not just about fake connections. It's authentic connections. I bet you have a LinkedIn network, 2/3, and that's probably low, 2/3 of whom you don't even know who they are. Never mind, I've talked to them recently, right? So go take a look at them. See who, don't call all of them, but see who would be really valuable to your business, your career, your future, just somebody really cool to have in your world. And just say exactly what I just said. I'm living in this really disconnected world, and I thought it was time for me to really get to know more of the people I've been connected with for a while. We've been connected here. We never made time to talk. Looks like you're doing some really cool things. I'd love to hear more about it. This is the time to do that. And this is where the opportunities lie. And building that skill, like that muscle you talked about, the going to the gym, that skill is going to take us not just through to survive this time, but to thrive through this time and moving forward, because that's a skill that we all are going to need for, I think, a very long time.
Thank you for sharing that, which confirms again what we've continued to speak every week and every time through these conversations, of just every small step matters. And so to end with that, kind of two quotes to add for perspective that I thought really tied perfectly is, the currency of real network is not greed, but generosity, from Keith Ferrazzi, which is so true. I think,
true.
I hope you heard how much Karen, she just gave away free tips. I'm going to go immediately and be able to, but you all got that tip too, which I hope you walked away. Karen, or if she was being greedy and say like, Monica, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to share that because that's my paid service. Like, she was starting with generosity, and there's so much give that she shares. And if you really look at all the people you probably like on LinkedIn or anywhere else, it's givers, but you have to have a lot to start to give. And so build on your expertise wherever you are. And then second, this is from Michelle Obama. Success isn't about how much money you make. It's about the difference you make in people's lives. And I think,
oh my gosh, I love that too.
Whether it's, LinkedIn or anything else, as innovators, I know all of you are thinking about bringing more value. And, let's remember, it's not about just trying to have thousands or, certain metrics, which is cool for that too. But, what that meant for that one person and how that was life changing for that one person at a time. that's an impact. Let's think about what we're measuring and building on that. So Karen, thank you so much for being here. Thank you all for
It
joining.
was so great to be here. I love hanging out with you, Monica. This was fun.
So fun as well. And guests, for everyone, innovators as well, stay tuned. We're going to continue these weeklies. And because this is Asian American Pacific Island Heritage Month, next Monday, we're going to kick off again with other conversation with Asian Americans who happen to be entrepreneurs, who happen to be Asian American. And we're going to talk about entrepreneurship, mental health, and all that jazz. And then we're going to have another episode on innovation unscripted, which is on Wednesdays, and having live just group conversation and authenticity of what it means to retangle and untangle innovation and identity and more, and then continuing that to build on public policy. So a few more things coming up. Check out our live streaming, and then let us know what are some maybe LinkedIn changes you've done, and send a note to me and Karen and say hello.
I love that.
So a mission out for you. Thank you all very much, and we'll be back again. Bye.
Bye guys. Thanks for